hope you're ready because we're recording now. Welcome, everyone, back to the Project Gen X podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with
Big Dave.
And today we are going to do something very Generation X. We're going to talk about a movie that is near and dear to a lot of our hearts. That would be the 1999 film Fight Club.
Well, hold on. We can't talk about this.
I know. Believe me, I'm going to be dropping a lot.
First rule of Fight Club is you can't talk about Fight Club.
Second rule of Fight Club
is you can't talk about Fight Club.
The third rule of Fight Club? Do you know the third rule of Fight Club off the top of your head?
Oh, I should know this. I've forgotten it already.
Someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out, the fight is over. Fourth rule of Fight Club, only two guys to a fight.
Yeah.
Fifth rule of Fight Club, one fight at a time. Sixth rule, no shirts, no shoes. Seventh rule of Fight Club, fights will go on as long as they have to. And the eighth and final rule of Fight Club, if this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight.
That's right.
So
we're going to break the first two rules right off the bat.
We're going to break a lot of those rules right off the bat. So I'm way too old to get into a fight right now. So.
And let me just say, the fat guy is not taking his shirt off.
Yeah, I'm not. So anyway, Fight Club. Have you read the book?
I have not.
Okay. Fight Club was written by Chuck Palahniuk. It came out in, I want to say it was either 95 or 96. Let me look real quick because this is one of those things. And Biscuit apparently thinks he knows. Let's see here.
I'm going to take this with me, though. You've got your Tyler Durden Popco Funk.
Yeah, Funko Pop.
Yeah, whatever.
It was written in 1996, or it came out in 1996. Okay. Do you? So you haven't read the book. Have you heard any of the story about how it came to be?
No.
Okay.
All I know is the movie.
Okay.
That's literally all I know.
So back in the early 90s, Chuck Palahniuk was on I think it was a camping trip, if I'm not mistaken. And it was him and a bunch of his friends, and they were out kind of like, and there was nobody around.
Yeah.
And some campers came in and basically set up right next to them and began playing music really loudly, like way into the night. And he went over to confront them and got into an altercation with one of the guys and basically got his ass kicked. And so he was working a corporate job at the time, and he came back into work, and he had these two big black eyes, and everybody was just trying to act like nothing was wrong and that kind of stuff. And so it gave him this idea of, why people act. If they see, someone who obviously has got some injuries, they'll try to act as normal as possible and not acknowledge, that kind of stuff. And there's many other things that come into it. There is a great interview, and I'm actually in our YouTube. I've already put the playlist together.
Oh, nice.
Of stuff. One of them, he was on Rogan last year, I think it was, and they talked about it. Some in there, some of the behind him writing it and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot different than the movie. There are major differences.
So what you're saying is I need to pick up the book.
The book is a lot different. The ending is different. It has a much different ending. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
There is also another YouTube page. And once again, I'm going to have links to all this stuff. It's called.
It's already there, folks.
It's already there, yeah. And like I said, all you gotta do is just click on the link, and it'll take you straight to the playlist. And one of the things, there's this YouTube channel called Behind the Story, I think it's called, and they talk to different authors, different writers. And one of them, they talked to Chuck Palahniuk about writing Fight Club, the book. They also talked to, of course, off the top of my head, I can't bring up the guy's name, the screenwriter for the movie. About when he was adapting the book, and we're probably not going to see it in there since that's a steel book.
It's a steel book, and it has 0 in there.
Yeah, it's because I was watching it last night, still in the player. Yes, I do physical media, especially steel books, because those things are pretty awesome. Go to our Instagram to see pictures of some cool stuff of Funko Pop and my copy of Fight Club 2.
Which I didn't know existed.
I knew I did. I read it a little while back, and I found that just recently. I got that hardcover copy at a local used bookstore, and then come to find out, last year there was a Fight Club 3 that was also published in comic book form.
Really?
That I did not know about, and I have not read that one, so I will not be talking about that one today at all. Now, so anyways, apparently Palahniuk wrote this book, and it was optioned as a screenplay, and it kind of sat around for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Fincher got a hold of it.
Yeah.
And that's when they really kind of started working on and everything. So
Screenplay,
yeah,
getting it up and running.
Right. And so it was one of those things where people forget, like, did you see the movie in theaters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it as well. Again, man, there's a book called Best Movie Year Ever that came out last year that is all about 1999 as in film, because it's such a monumental year when it comes to film.
So
this being one of
it's
these,
kind of the 90s version of 84?
something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you start going down the list of movies that came out that year. You get The Matrix,
Oh,
Fight Club,
yeah.
Sixth Sense, Being John Malkovich, Blair Witch Project,
So you just mentioned two
American
of my favorites.
Pie. I mean, it's just, you kind of start going down like all this
Yeah.
stuff that came out, you know, and it's like, oh wow, this really was a monumental year.
Being John Malkovich, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is a good movie. I haven't seen it in a lot of years, but that's a whole other story.
John Cusack plays such a weirdo in that film.
Oh, well, yeah, everybody plays a weirdo in that film.
Well,
I mean,
that's true.
They really uglied up Cameron Diaz in that movie. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and she actually did some acting rather than just being Cameron Diaz. You know, that's and don't get me wrong, I like to see her be Cameron Diaz, but
Yeah.
this was something completely different. And I picked this up for a reason, and I don't remember now. Oh yeah, dude. So let's see, here it is. So Fight Club was released in October 15th, 1999.
Okay.
Is when it was released.
Yeah.
It was a miserable failure in theaters. People forget that.
Really?
Yes.
Because everybody I know was going, you need to go watch this film.
The budget was $63 million.
Yeah.
It made $37 million in its theatrical run.
Ouch.
Yes. It, in its worldwide gross, it made $111 million. But this movie did not really
Take off until
develop
VHS.
the cult of Tyler Durden until it hit home. Actually, until it hit DVD. Because this was right around the time DVD became,
you're right.
you know, when it was released in 2000 on DVD was about the time people were like, oh, players are affordable. Oh, you mean this is a better format than VHS and blah, 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 blah. And it had a whole bunch of extras on it and all that. And I remember when that being like a big thing when it was released, because it came in this special like 2-disc set, you know, and had all these
the commentary,
the commentaries,
the
you know, with
extras.
and you know, one of them is it's Fincher and Edward Norton and Brad Pitt sitting around, and they're basically talking philosophy and all this kind of, you know, and just all this kind of just weird, you know, whatever. And then you had, you know, Helena Bonham Carter did one, you know, and all this stuff. And so, and we haven't even started talking about the movie it's proper yet.
Oh, yeah.
But it was one of those movies that, like I said, it developed a cult after the fact, for good and for ill both. Because it's one of those things where even at the time there was some criticism about the movie for being like this hyper masculine, you know, it's kind of an anti-woman movie. And it's like, I see that. But I think that what really gets lost, and it's one of the things that Palahniuk talks about in that Rogan interview, of how he said the reason he thinks that it connected with men the way that it did, because it's predominantly a male movie. I mean, like the fan club is predominantly male.
Yeah.
There are some women who like to look at Brad Pitt with his shirt off, or whatever it is, but it's still one of those things where it is predominantly like men love this movie.
Yeah.
And he said, the reason that he thinks it connected the way that it did, both the book and the movie especially, he said that every few years. And this interview is up in our fan page. You can go hear the actual interview. We said every few years there is a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, or Divine Sister Yaya Sisterhood, or how to make an American quilt, or any number of whatever.
Yeah.
These books that were made into films for women about them coming together and having these moments of community
and empowerment. Men don't get that. Well, we're told to be ashamed if something like that comes out.
But here's the thing, is that he said really and truly, the reason that he thinks that it's connected is that we have two. We have Fight Club and we have Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's kind of true. I mean, it's it was also one of those things we think about when this movie came out at the very end of the 90s. We had come through, the 90s was a time whenever, in theory anyway, it was more acceptable for men to be more emotional. And, we'd come through all this self-help stuff, and there was all these books written about, like, what was it, Wild at Heart, and all this, like these men-centric, hey, I'm going to go out into the wild because we were supposed to be, these rugged outdoorsmen, and we're not anymore, and kind of stuff. And it's some of the stuff that they talk about in the movie. Some of the monologues that that Tyler gives. It's, hey, we're, and one of my favorite ones. And I'm going to drop the clip in here because we haven't even gotten into the movie yet.
Drop the clip.
I'm going to drop the clip
here.
Well, I'm going to drop it here after I tell my version of it, and then we'll see what it is. But he talks about, he's looking around. It's like while they're in the group, and he said, I see people. I see a lot of men here with a lot of potential. He says, we're the middle children of history.
Look around. I see a lot of new faces. Shut up. Which means a lot of you have been breaking the first two rules of Fight Club. I see in Fight Club the strongest and smartest men who've ever lived. I see all this potential, and I see it squandered. God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off.
We didn't have a great war. He's talking about Generation X is what he's talking about. And that's why I say this is such a Generation X movie. And I've heard complaints of like people like, oh, wow, you had your nice corporate job and your 401 and blah, okay, and blah, blah, blah. And you're so, it must be nice to, to have all this stability. And then you get to play. And I'm like, all right, shut up, millennials, first off. We're not the reason that you're in the situation you're in. It has a lot to do with the boomers and you is what it comes down to. So. There's my rant,
and that's a lot of revisionist history because when a lot of us were coming of age, we were coming out of college. There's no jobs,
right? We were the first generation that had to deal with that.
Yeah,
we were. This is not something that's that's millennial centric. This was something that we've already been through.
What was it? I forget. There was like a New York Times article or something. It said that we were going to be the first generation to not do as well as our parents.
Right. And we were told that from day one.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, but that,
at one point we looked at it and we go, whatever.
Yeah, I know,
we don't
exactly.
care.
And we went and built the internet. You know, that's, I always go back to that. Our generation, it might not have been you and me specifically, but Generation X built the internet.
It came out with some
And
really
as well as
decent
some other,
music
yeah, I know, and a whole
movies
bunch of
and
other
art
stuff. And again, got looked over into.
It's still getting looked over.
Yeah, we're always going to get looked over.
What was that CBS poll where they
I know, completely left us out of
yeah.
it. I know. There's plenty of. Oh, if you go, here's another one that happened. If you go and look up generations, like on Google,
yeah,
you know, at the top of it, they'll have the different generations. Everything's listed there except for Generation X.
Figures.
I mean, seriously, it jumps from the baby boomers to millennials,
yeah.
and then into the Gen Z, and and I'm just like, goes back until like the Greatest Generation, the Silent Generation, all that kind of stuff. Gen X is not listed there. It's just like, okay, fine. And it's funny because Google was found to lie Gen Xer.
Yeah, no. He probably did that on purpose, ironically.
Again, the irony of the situation is not lost on us. You know, it's so anyway. Tyler Durden, we're gonna have to get into this. You were
talking about your favorite.
Well, that was my quote. It's like we are the middle children of history.
Yeah,
you know,
we didn't have a great war.
We didn't have a great war.
We didn't have our Great Depression.
Right. We didn't.
Our Great War was spiritual, and our Great Depression is our lives.
Exactly. And you also talked about how we were in past generations we went out with our fathers and learned to do things, to learn the world. Yeah. We learned to hunt. We learned to fish. We learned to camp. We learned to build. We learned to do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we had a whole generation, as you said, we're a generation raised by women. Not that that's such a bad thing. It's just that when you have a generation that does not have strong father figures,
yeah,
and ours did not, it's when you don't have a generation raised by men, you get a lost generation in a lot of ways.
One of two things happens with that situation. Either when they grow up, they go out and they purposefully go to learn those things on their own and try to outdo what their father did.
Absolutely.
And not be that person.
Absolutely.
Or they go completely the opposite direction and do everything that their father did and worse.
Right. Right. And that's one of the things we're getting in the movie that,
And there is really no in between there.
Absolutely. So here we go. We're going to get into the movie now. Just in case someone is listening to this and has not seen this movie or does not know the twist.
This is going to have some major spoilers.
There is a huge twist in this movie that was completely shocking.
Yeah.
At the time. And
so here's your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen this movie or read the book, go ahead.
Stop listening now. Go watch it. Go watch it. Enjoy it, get angry, do whatever it is you're going to do.
It's a $4 rental on Vudu.
And you can get, you can find DVDs. I would suggest going and buying the Blu-ray of it because it's got, the extras on it are great. Okay. Remember when I gave you, because I gave you my copy of it because I had gotten that Steelbook. Remember I told you that it would mess with you when you first put it in?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this Blu-ray is amazing because you put it in and it comes up and it says, was it Paramount or whatever it is, and then it goes right into the home menu for Never Been Kissed.
Yeah.
And then it fades. It blinks a few times and then actually goes into the Fight Club main menu.
Let me tell you, I had a bout of insomnia, and I was up at like midnight, 1 o'clock, and needed something to watch to kind of settle down, and I popped it in.
Like, what is this?
And all of a sudden, I was like, "What the?"
I know. Oh,
what? No, this is. He gave me the wrong disc.
I know. I did the same because I purchased it and had not watched it yet, and I put it in one night to watch it, and that came up. I'm like, was there a mistake? And I'm, okay, all right, yeah, this is a good one. All right, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
Insomnia. In the early part. Okay, first off, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And honest answer. What is Edward Norton's character's name?
Who knows?
Correct. He's just the narrator. That's
Right.
all he is in this. Now,
He goes by many names in
Right.
this movie.
now the one that they keep coming back to is Jack.
Yeah.
Which comes from because he finds there he's reading when he moves in with Tyler. He's reading all these magazines that were left behind in this house, and it's like
Somebody had written a bunch of short stories where they had
they had
personified different
they were writing
organs.
Yeah, and it was like, I am James Abdullah Oblongala, or I am whatever, and one of them was I am Jack's whatever.
Yeah.
And so he keeps coming back to that over time, where he's like, I am Jack's lack of empathy, or I am Jack's lack of caring,
Yeah.
or whatever, and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of one of those things where you kind of start thinking, oh, his name's Jack.
No, he actually has a name that he goes by at the very beginning that he's using when he's in the office.
No, he doesn't.
You sure about that?
Positive. He's never given a name in this. Now, in Fight Club 2, we find out what his real name is.
Don't tell me I'm ready.
Okay. But it's one of those things where our narrator he's having real trouble with insomnia.
Major trouble.
Major, and something that you and I both know about.
have dealt with and still deal with.
I have said, and I said it on our episode about insomnia, this movie and The Machinist are both excellent in
Yeah.
portraying the long-term effects of insomnia.
Yeah.
And he even talks about, like, when you can't sleep, everything is a copy of a copy of a copy, and it's true.
Yeah.
It is 100% true.
Everything flattens out.
Yes. Everything. Your
Yeah.
emotions flatten out. Your sense of color, your sense of taste. I mean, everything just flattens out after a while. Thankfully, I have not had as bad a problem with that as I've gotten older as I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because I did some of the staying up for 3 or 4 days at a time, and it's
Yeah.
not fun. It is not fun. It wreaks all kinds of havoc on your system. So anyways, he can't sleep. He's going to the doctor, and the doctor keeps telling him,
You're fine.
You're fine.
Take some valerian
take some
root,
do whatever, blah, blah, blah.
go to
You
bed.
need, and I've been through that with doctors before. It's like, no, you need natural sleep. You don't need, because he asked him to give him something, and he's like, hey, I'm in pain here. He's like, you want to see pain? Go to the cancer support group on Tuesday nights,
Yeah.
So he does.
And he becomes an addict.
Yeah,
of
and so
support groups.
support groups, because he goes in there and he pretends to have all these diseases, and he cries with everybody and that kind of stuff, and he sleeps wonderfully.
It's an emotional release.
Absolutely.
Which is what a lot of people, not just men, are looking for anymore.
I know. And this was 21 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where he starts going to this stuff. In the process of it, he meets Marla Singer, played by Helena Bonham Carter. Probably the best thing I've ever seen her in. I've seen her in some stuff I liked other than this,
Yeah.
but this is the one I always go back to with her. This is her iconic role.
I
no
agree.
ifs, ands, buts about it.
Well, people are going to pull out the Harry Potter stuff, and that's what she's going to end up being remembered for.
I've not seen any of those movies, so I
But
can tell you.
you're right. This is where she's definitely showing off the chops.
Right. Now, I had seen her previously in a movie called Wings of the Dove. And it's a period piece from like the late 1800s for early 1900s, somewhere around in there, and it based on a book, all this kind of stuff. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought, I kind of kept my eye on her. I was like, wow, she's really good, And then that was, I think, a year before this movie came out or something like that.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh, hey, it's her. And she was in something else in there too. I can't remember.
Oh, she did Sweeney Todd.
No, before Fight
before
Club.
that?
Yeah. She was in all that because she was married to Tim Burton for a while.
Yeah.
And she was in all of his movies. She was in the Alice in Wonderland movies, and she was in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
She was in, it wasn't his movie, but she was in Les Miserables, and she's been in a bunch of movies and stuff like that. But this was her breakout role, and probably the one she will always be known for.
Well, it's her. It's Edward Norton. It's Brad Pitt. There's another actor in this that people don't realize is in this.
Okay.
Jared Leto's in this.
Oh yeah, he's Angel Face. That's what
Yeah.
his name is. Yeah, and this was, I was going to say Jared Leto, because he has a small role in this.
Yeah.
I can say this movie is the one that led to him becoming Jared Leto that won an Oscar later.
Yeah.
Where he started doing like really serious films. Prior to this, he was just Jordan Catalano.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's all he was up until he did this part. And for those of you who don't know, Jordan Catalano was a character on My So-Called Life. It was like his first big role, his breakout, you know.
Which you should go watch if you haven't
It's
seen that.
it's good. It's one season wonder type thing, and it should have been more, but it's perfect the way that it is.
And he also has a band, 30 Seconds to Mars.
And we don't talk about that. So.
Which you don't like, but I kind of
don't.
dig some of their stuff.
Well, that's funny because like when they're sitting, he's talking about, you know, we all grew up thinking we were going to be this, you know, blah blah blah, and rock stars. He walks right past him and looks at Jared Leto, you know, when he says it. So it's kind of funny. It's like because he'd been in that band for a while before they really kind of hit big, you know, and there's another cameo in this that you probably don't remember.
Other than Meatloaf?
Well, yeah, Meatloaf is the other one, and that's not a cameo.
He's a major actor.
Meatloaf plays Bob, or Robert Paulson, as we know.
Robert Paulson.
His name was Robert Paulson.
His name was Robert Paulson.
That's right. His name was Robert Paulson.
Which is actually, that's kind of a poignant scene if you think
about it. It really is. It really is. But Edward Kowalski from the band Live is in this movie.
I did not realize
near the end of the movie when he catches up to Marla and they're sitting in the restaurant.
Yeah,
and the waiter comes up and is like, "Oh, anything you order here is that him? That's him."
Oh,
yes.
Wow!
Yeah,
I didn't realize it.
Yes, that's him, and I didn't either until someone pointed it out to me. I'm like, "Oh, wow, it is, isn't it?" Yeah, Ed from Live is in this.
Nice.
Again, we keep talking all around this. So, anyways, we're going to spoil the hell out of this. So, okay, all right, before we do that, so we find out that the narrator works for a major car company.
Car manufacturer.
He will not tell which one it is because he's telling what he is. He's an adjuster. Basically, if they have I'm going to put the clip in here.
On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0. I was a recall coordinator. My job was to apply the formula. A new car built by my company leaves somewhere traveling at 60 miles per hour. The rear differential locks up. The car crashes and burns with everyone trapped inside. Now, should we initiate a recall? Take the number of vehicles in the field, A, multiply it by the probable rate of failure, B, then multiply the result by the average out-of-court settlement, C. A times B times C equals X. If X is less than the cost of a recall, we don't do one.
Are there a lot of these kinds of accidents?
You wouldn't believe.
Which car company do you work for?
A major one.
So basically what it is that he goes, you know, as you heard from the clip, he goes and, you know, basically determines whether or not they should do a recall if there's an issue with the car.
And if the body count payout is smaller than
what the actual
recall,
out-of-court statement, then they won't worry about it.
Yeah. Which sounds pretty.
So he travels a lot.
Rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He travels a lot, and that's when he meets Tyler.
Yeah.
When he actually meets Tyler, because we see Tyler show up a couple times prior to this in little bits and pieces here and there.
You're going to miss the first 3.
No, I saw when I saw this back in the theater, I saw the little clips of him just appearing here and there, and
you're going to catch little flashes,
right?
From
and then he's on the escalator. He's on the
people mover,
right? On the people mover in the background.
He's going to show up in like little 2 and 3 frame pops,
right? So he meets. Well, first off, before
the first one is when he's talking to the doctor.
Hold on. Before this, though, he confronts Marla because Marla starts showing up at all of the meetings with, you know, and he confronts her and you know, because he knows that she's a faker and blah blah blah, and she's just
she knows that she knows that she's a faker because.
He is.
He's a faker.
Exactly. And it's one of those things Marla Singer. Oh, God, I love Marla Singer. Because, let me tell you, Marla Singer is absolutely the type of woman that I would have chased after back in 1999.
In 1999?
And a little in further, I know that just, she definitely my type. But it's one of those things that they have this whole thing. And there's even she asks his name, remember?
Yeah.
And we never get she's like, so what is it? Is it Cornelius? Is it she goes down a list of all these names he uses in the support groups, and we never get an answer. We never get an answer at all because a bus drives by and it cuts to the scene. So he meets Tyler on a plane, and he's telling him all this stuff, and Tyler is just so cool, and and he has these little clever things. He talks about his single serving friends, and it's one of those things because everything's a single serving on an airplane on a flight.
That's not Tyler. That's a narrator.
No, it's Tyler.
Well, it's a narrator.
It's the narrator. That's what I'm saying. He says something to Tyler about you're by far the most interesting single serving friend that I have.
Yeah.
And Tyler just sits there and looks at him. He goes, I call single serving friends because and he's like, oh, I get it. And he's like, yeah, it's just my clever little thing. He's like, so clever. He's like, how does that work out for you? He's like, what? Being clever.
Pretty good.
And he's just like,
keep doing that.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, And it's just one of those things that he notices that they have the same briefcase. Okay. The only mistake I've found in this movie is that whenever they get back and he finds out that his apartment has exploded, his whatever, he calls Tyler, and of course he doesn't answer, and then Tyler calls him back on the payphone. Yes, payphones. That's how far back we're going here.
Yep.
And he says, hey, we met on a plane. Remember, we had the same suitcase.
Yeah.
That's the only mistake, because he says suitcase instead of briefcase.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but that's the only mistake I found in his. Let's just go ahead and ruin it right now for anybody. Everybody knows Tyler Durden and the narrator are the same person.
Yes.
It's a split personality.
His insomnia has caused a major break in his persona.
And because I don't want to go through this point by point all the way through all the stuff, because we could sit here for an hour doing that easily. So it's one of those things that it brings up some questions for me as far as how other people perceive Tyler Durden / the narrator, because we are seeing
polar opposites,
and we are seeing them together, talking to each other, and there are other people in the rooms, and it's kind of one of those, because there's several times like when they're in the car together, and they're Tyler's driving, narrator's sitting in the passenger seat, and then there's 3 of Project Mayhem.
2.
I thought it was 3.
It's only 2.
Okay, there's 2. No, there's 3 of them.
There's 2. I just watched it.
I did too. And the thing is, I kept looking at it because it's one of those things, they keep going back and forth. But I think there's somebody in the middle.
There's not. There's only 2. And when they get out of the car, there's only 4 of them outside the car. The reason I know this is because I was watching this thing for
all the
little details, because the film editor in me wants to
but the thing
download this into my favorite linear editor and go through it frame by frame.
The thing about it is that they're talking to each other back and forth, and they keep answering in the back. Every time he's like, what's going on? He was like, what's going on or whatever. And the guys in the back keep saying, the first rule of Project Mayhem is you don't talk, and the narrator keeps saying, shut up, it's not Tyler, it's the narrator. So it's one of those things, and they kind of look at each other at one point like, what's going on with this dude?
Yeah.
Of course, when you watch it the first time, you don't get any of this. That was the thing. This was such a, okay. Did you have any indication when you watched it the first time?
No.
Okay. And this is me. I did not figure it out. Okay. But I knew something was up, and I had in my mind, I had come up with a theory of what was actually happening, and I was a little bit right, but a lot wrong. When the narrator goes to visit Marla, when she calls him over to her place, not the suicide attempt, but the second time.
Yeah.
And she's walking out, and then Bob walks up. And he's like, Cornelius, hey, and he starts the whole, I found a new place, and first rules, I'm not supposed to tell you about anything about it. Second, I'm not supposed to say anything. He's like, yeah, I'm a member too, and they start whatever. And he starts talking about Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
And of course, the narrator, have you met the man that created Fight Club and blah, blah, blah? And he's kind of got this look on his face like, oh yeah, I'm one of them, everything.
Yeah.
And when, for whatever reason, when he said, have you met Tyler Durden? And then like Edward Norton, the narrator's face is just like, what? Because it's this real letdown of like, you don't know. For whatever reason, when I was watching the movie, something clicked in my head of I didn't think they were the same person, but I thought what was actually happening was that Tyler was pretending to be the narrator and talking about quote unquote Tyler as being the narrator. As basically saying he was actually trying to push all the responsibility off on Edward Norton and it not be him, type thing. And again, I was a little bit right, but I was a lot wrong. So when it actually happened, it was still a big surprise of like, oh, wow, okay. A couple of things with this. There's one thing that's another mistake that has... When the narrator is explaining what Tyler does at night with all these jobs that he has, when he's working in the movie theater and he's splicing single frames of hardcore pornography into family films, that kind of stuff. He's explaining how the film rules work. And he's like, whenever you see this, it's called a cigarette burn. That's not what that's called. That was completely made up for the film. And that's people who were still like the few places around where they still are projectionists and stuff are like really pissy about that. Like, no, that's not a thing that ever existed prior to this movie. Now, those little things, I remember seeing those back in the day. Like, this is where it was.
He would point them out.
He pointed to it. Yeah, I know. It was yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things with this movie is that it's very aware. And it's another thing, it's very of its time because this was at a time when...
Breaking the fourth wall was kind of a thing.
I'm going to say, this is a time before digital really took over. So it was one of those things that everything was on film. And so there's a lot of stuff in this, like you will see the film kind of like... There's one point where Tyler turns and looks at the camera and he starts talking. And he's like, says something like "prepare for crash down" or something, and the film looks like it starts to
it's getting ready to come off the tracks.
Right, and then it So there's stuff like that in the theater you're kind of like, what's going on here, And there was a bunch, and also like with all the little like Tyler little flashes of Tyler that keep. It's like, is there something wrong with the film? But I recognize, that's Brad Pitt. That's obviously Brad Pitt. That's these little flashes, So I don't even know where to go from here.
Well, towards the end of the film, you actually get the couple of frames of hardcore.
Well, at the very end of the movie, But what I was going to say, eventually Fight Club turns into Project Mayhem, which is... There's some interesting stuff in there. I'm sure you did, but there are a ton of product placements in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
That was done on purpose. It was all because Tyler rails against that type of stuff, like corporate sponsorships and this and that.
Consumerism. You are not what you own.
Yeah, exactly. The things. My favorite. The things that you own wind up owning you. I have, ever since I heard that when I was 25 years old, I've really kind of kept that in the back. I was like, no, it's true. It's true. I'm going through that a little bit with like my grandmother passing, 6 months ago or whatever. And so now we're like going in, we've had to go in and like get all of her stuff. And my grandmother was one of those people. It's like, oh, there's a spot, we got to put a piece of furniture there. And I mean, this house is just wall to wall stuff. She wasn't a hoarder or anything. It was just, oh, I need a new clock for this, or I need a new chair for here, or I need this, blah, blah, blah. And so it's just one of those things.
Decorators.
But it's like overly decorating. I mean, just furniture, and it's like, after a while, your stuff does end up owning you. Because it's like, well, I can't move into a smaller house because I got all this stuff, or I can't.
Oh, believe me, I'm dealing with that.
Or I don't want to move all of my stuff to a new place because
believe me, I've dealt with that a lot in my life because we moved around so much. But the first house that me and my wife lived in that we rented was like 2,300 square foot, and we moved in and we were comfortable. And then we moved, and we had to move.
Right.
And the house we ended up buying was 1,200 square foot.
Which, you about half the space.
And
it's still the same amount of stuff.
And 6 years later, we're still trying to figure out where to put everything. Right.
And I have several times in my life, in my adult life, done a purges in my house of like, I'm getting rid of everything that I don't need.
I've done that when I was single.
Yeah, and
you try to do that when you're married, and somebody ends up mad at you.
You don't stay married for very long when you do that.
I'm still married. Now I've taken some beatings.
Right.
Yeah,
so that.
Sorry, honey.
It's Project Mayhem is all about destroying stuff, which is something that
Well, it's not just
Earlier-
about destroying stuff. It's about literally causing mayhem.
Absolutely. You
In
know,
the-
it's one of those...
In the war room, he had
they're-
folders up there that was disinformation.
Right, and you know,
Misinformation.
and they do stuff, you know,
Yeah.
where he gives them, you know, like, go and start a fight with somebody, a stranger this week, and
Homework
lose.
is what
You
they
know,
call
yeah,
it.
you know, it was one of them, like the one whenever Bob is killed.
Yeah.
they were destroying a piece of corporate art and a
Corporate-
franchise coffee. Which is supposed to be Starbucks, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Now Starbucks does appear in this, but they would not sign off on having one of their locations destroyed.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right. And I really kind of wonder what some of the other, because I mean Pepsi is all over this thing. You see
Yeah.
Pepsi with Mountain Dew machines and all that kind of Krispy Kreme,
Yeah.
IKEA, Cadillac, BMW. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just one after another after another after. Now here's the fun one. Apple is in this. Yes.
I'm trying to remember
when they're
where-
showing right before the film goes crazy, they show where they go into this. They blow up that display in the
Oh,
window.
yeah.
That's,
You're right.
That is
That's-
Apple. It's a Macintosh. That happens at the 84th minute of the movie. Which, if you know anything, Apple had that 1984. You know, back in 1984, they did that famous Super Bowl commercial. You know, with the
only aired once.
right, that 1984. You know, like the Orwell
Yeah.
type stuff. That happens at the 84th minute of the movie when that
I missed that.
display
That's
explodes.
brilliant.
I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't read it years ago. It was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. You know,
But what's funny about that is the revolutionary
Right.
computer company
Right.
has now become...
oh, they're corporate as
the
everything.
corporate.
I know. And yeah, and they talk about it. And don't get me wrong, I got a Macintosh here. I got my iPhone. You know,
yeah.
I've got that kind of stuff. I've got a couple of iPads. You know, but it's one of those things. They very much want to lock you down into
Yeah.
their corporation, their corporate speak, and you know their what do they call it? Their corporate lifestyle. But
Yeah, it's basically a lifestyle company.
yeah,
that
but what's it
sells
called? It's called
electronics.
something else. It's anyway, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why I don't have any corporate jobs because, for one thing, I've made myself completely unemployable for a corporation with my tattoos and just my general attitude. But it's just kind of one of those like, all right, whatever. Very Gen X thing to do, I know.
Yeah.
But all that stuff's happening. They're leading to this. But basically, and in theory, I like the idea. They're going to destroy all of these buildings that house that are
It's basically the credit corporations.
the credit cards is what it
It's
is.
the credit cards and
Right.
the credit reporting
right
industry.
And so and the whole thing is if we set everybody back to zero, then we're all on an even playing field.
yeah.
Even in 1999, the records for that wouldn't have been like that. They were already starting to move
Yeah.
stuff onto servers and and that kind of stuff. So I
Server
mean,
farms.
they might have been able to do a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, but still, but yeah, that is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And I remember it so vividly is when the narrator, like after he discovers that he is Tyler Durden, that
Yeah.
they're one and the same, and he's going to try to stop this thing, and he's quote unquote fighting Tyler in the basement of this building.
Yeah.
And he de-arms one of the bombs, and Tyler, like throws him out of the van and goes and closes the door.
Well, he rearms the bomb.
He rearms
first.
the bomb. He closes the door, and he goes. And the narrator jumps up and grabs a gun and fires at Tyler, and it goes through the back window and through the windshield.
Yeah.
And Tyler stands in front of him. He's like, "Whoa, whoa! You are now." He's like, "You've really done it. You're shooting at your imaginary friend who is standing in front of a van full of 4,000 pounds of explosives."
Yeah.
Now, my most favorite, because this movie starts off basically at the end of the movie and then goes back.
Oh, yeah. We should go here.
Yeah, and it goes back and he starts telling the story. The narrator's telling the story of how we got here.
Yeah.
So what starts off is that you get a scene. Once again, if you haven't seen this movie, but the scene where Tyler's got the gun in the narrator's mouth, and he says, "So you have any last words?" And he says, whatever. And he pulls out, he's like, I can't think of anything. And then he goes through and tells a story. So you get to this point where he's like, and then, so we're back where we started, and he's got the gun in his mouth.
Yeah.
And he says, so, have you got any last words? And he pulls it out, and he says, I still can't think of anything. And Tyler goes, flashback humor.
The other line that hit me there is when you've got a gun in your mouth, you can only say vowels.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So anyways, it comes down to the narrator, quote unquote, kills Tyler, and we watch.
Well, the narrator basically tries to commit suicide by putting the gun in his mouth and pulling the trigger.
Right.
But he manages to screw it up.
Well, yeah, he quote unquote kills Tyler.
Yeah.
But he shoots, and that's another one. Everybody's like, "Sir, are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." You know, because he's like shot basically through his neck is what he did, it's through his mouth and into his neck. And that's the same thing when
broke his jaw.
Yeah,
it
when they bring
his jaw.
What's so funny is when Marla comes in and she's being Marla and just screaming and blah blah blah. And she's like, I can't believe. Whoa, what happened to you? Just like,
well, I shot myself.
Are you okay? He's like, I shot myself. Yeah. I was like, can I get some
You
gauze?
shot yourself?
Can I get some gauze? Just and it's funny because I don't know if you noticed because they say it so low when the other member, like when the space monkeys get into elevator to leave, one of them says,
I can't believe he's standing.
And the other guy's is like toughest motherfucker I've ever seen. It's just like, and it's like, yeah, to get shot like that, there's no way that you would be standing.
Not
so
just
I mean,
to get shot like that, but to shoot yourself like that.
I know. But then we get the beautiful scene when the buildings start exploding.
Yeah.
And they're standing there and the Pixie song, Where Is My Mind, starts playing.
Yep.
And Tyler the narrator looks over at Marla and takes her hand and says, I just want you to know, I was in a very strange place when we met.
Yeah.
And then you just see the buildings falling down in the background. And I'm like, that is one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best endings.
Yeah.
Of course, then you get the shot of a naked dude. Just like one frame of it.
Yeah. I've actually got a theory about after he shot himself.
Okay.
I don't think he got rid of Tyler.
Okay.
I think he probably... my theory is that he put the two halves of himself back together, and now that he's going to end up a blend of those two characters.
Without giving away everything that happens in Fight Club 2, I'm going to answer that question.
Okay.
We fast forward, I think it's 10 years later. And I'm not giving away what I said. The narrator's real name is Sebastian.
Okay.
We've come to find that. Him and Marla are married. They have a son. And he is taking medication to subdue Tyler.
Okay.
We find out over the course of Fight Club 2 that Tyler has been with him since he was a kid.
Really?
And Tyler is a mental virus that can infect anyone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, and that's all I'm going to say because it goes... You start finding out some more stuff that becomes... Now, here's what happens in the book, and this isn't good because this happens early on.
Infectious?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Here's what happens in the book that causes... Or one of the things that causes Tyler to reemerge is that Marla really doesn't like this life because he's back working a corporate job and all this kind of stuff, and she's essentially a housewife, and she doesn't like their sex life and that kind of stuff. So she starts giving him placebos instead of the real medication for Tyler to come out. Oh. Which is a Marla thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's...
like you said, you have a type.
Yeah, well, you know.
But you like...
I put on one of on the playlist, one of the videos on YouTube that I put on there, someone went through and it's a half-hour video, and it basically goes through the entire comic of Fight Club 2 and tells the story.
Okay. With
pictures and all that kind of stuff, and it tells the story. It gets very meta.
Okay.
It gets very meta because Chuck Palahniuk is in the book, is in Fight Club 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and it talks about like the cult of Tyler and people and like him, and he even calls out, "Is this too meta? Is this type stuff?" I mean, it's one of those type things, and you see him and Tyler like talking to each other and all this kind of junk, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's pretty decent. It was kind of one of those like I think it's nice that it was published by Dark Horse Comics, and it was published issue to issue. You know, it was like I think it was 5 or 6 issue comic or something like that.
And the version you have here is a hardback.
I have a hardback cover. There is a paperback of it also. I'm not gonna lie, I honestly prefer comics in this form. Yeah, I stopped buying new comics several years ago because they're very expensive.
Yeah, the kid in me still enjoys the single.
I do too.
Comics like that, but as an adult, if I can pick up like an entire
run,
or
I know.
Entire
usually
run,
they come in 6 issue.
Yeah.
Like the trades are usually 6 issues, and that's good because that's usually it's either 6 issues or it's an entire story arc, depending on whichever one.
I think I've got like 3 or 4 of the Preacher arcs in graphic novel form. I have the entire.
That's the way I read The Walking Dead, because it had been that book had been out for a while whenever I started reading it, so I was just picking up the volumes of it.
I've got a hardback version of the complete Batman.
Right.
I've got a couple middle ones in the Dark Knight Returns.
I've got all kinds of.
I've got the complete
that stuff,
Joker stories.
Yeah. So, but anyways, Fight Club is awesome. I love the movie. I have watched it a lot. Like I said, there is some controversy around. We didn't really get into it. One of the controversies about this movie, and I fully am on board with this one, it's not even really that controversial, is that there is a certain sect of society who watched this movie and came away with completely wrong.
Yeah.
Of it really started the bro culture of the affliction wear and the wanting to fight all the time and what's the matter, bro? Huh? What's up, bro? Just like this hyper masculine like douchebag. And believe me, the years after this movie came out, when that became prevalent, like about the 10 years or so in between, the movie releasing, I dealt with that quite a bit when I was single and back out in the bars and stuff again. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, who opened the douche factory? I mean, and you come to find out, all of them's favorite movie is Fight Club.
Well, something else.
Oh, excuse me. Everybody's favorite movie in that sect is Fight Club and The Boondock Saints. Those 2 movies.
Yeah, and I kind of hate that because I really like the Boondock Saints, and I actually own the metal book,
the steel book. Yeah,
the steel book of Boondock.
I'm sorry. That movie's.
I enjoy that movie.
You need to see Overnight. You really need to. It's a documentary about the making of that movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, you will come away with a whole different perspective on it.
Well, I guess I need to find it then.
Yeah.
The other thing that this movie shows is how easy it is to, if you have a bunch of men that really have no outlet,
right,
that really have nobody to turn to,
right,
that have literally no outlets whatsoever, how easy it is to turn them into a sect.
Oh yeah,
and corrupt them,
right,
and
turn into a cult. That's what it is. It is a cult of Tyler Durden, is what it is. And and again, I'm going to drop in here of when the narrator discovers that he is Tyler Durden, and Durden flat says, "I'm everything that you're not."
Say it.
Because we're the same person.
That's right.
We are the all singing, all dancing crap. I don't understand this.
You were looking for a way to change your life. You could not do this on your own. All the ways you wish you could be, that's me. I look like you want to look. I fuck like you want to fuck. I am smart, capable, and most importantly, I'm free in all the ways that you are not.
Oh no. Tyler's not here. Tyler went away. Tyler's gone. What? This is impossible.
No.
This is crazy.
People do it every day. They talk to themselves. They see themselves as they'd like to be. They don't have the courage you have to just run with it. Naturally, you're still wrestling with it, so sometimes you're still you.
We should do this again sometime.
Other times, you imagine yourself watching me.
If this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight.
Little by little, you're just letting yourself become Tyler Durden.
You are not your job! How much money you have in the bank?
Like I said, I'm going to drop that in there. I'm not going
But
to try to.
It shows how easy that a charismatic character can turn a group of people to their will.
We see it. We've seen it. Jonestown.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can go down a whole bunch of the Bikram yoga, that whole situation. You look the what is it? Wild Wild Country. Stuff that happened.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that one? I mean, there's plenty of examples of that type of the Branch Davidians.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go down the line of all that type of stuff. If you get this charismatic, guy.
Yeah.
Cults are almost never founded by women. It's always men.
Well, if you don't understand how something like this happens,
Yeah.
this movie's a pretty good
Yeah,
example
it really
of how
is,
something like that happens.
And it's. I've had one legit corporate job in my life, and I was miserable the entire time I was there. Like, entire time I was there, and I would not go back to that for anything in my life. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care how much money you're giving me. I will not go back to this whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's very, one of the other movies that came out in 1999, and I still don't think it's as good as everybody goes on and on about, is Office Space. And I mean, it's a funny movie, but I just didn't connect with it the way that so many other people did. Probably because I had not worked a corporate job at that point.
I connect with that.
Yeah, and so it was just kind of one of those things where it was just like, okay, I can see it a little more now. Just that very repressive culture of conformity and this, and all that stuff. And he goes through, and as he's getting more and more involved in Fight Club, he even says, like, I don't even wear a tie to work any longer.
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of those things where he
could look at his boss and tell what day it was
by the color of the tie he was wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was. It's like, oh, it's cornflower. It must be Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's that type of stuff. And there's a lot of that too. If they're in that meeting. And he was like, yeah, I ran it past my man over here, and everything. He just like, he shows his teeth. He's just like all bloodied and everything, and everybody's just like, what in the world? But it is one of those things where they show that, and it goes back to why Chuck Palahniuk wrote this book, of it shows him walking through, and he's got a black eye and all this stuff, and people are kind of looking at him, but they're not saying anything. They're just, okay, whatever, just go about your business,
That eventually turns to everybody he looks at that's kind of looking at him, eventually acknowledging him as sir.
Right, exactly. Oh, I'll tell you one of the things. This movie, from the beginning, after you watch it the first time, you go back and you watch it again, because the second time you watch the movie, you're looking for all the clues.
Yeah.
They're there from the very beginning of stuff. So little things that are dropped here and there of how, one of them for me that I thought was kind of curious when I watched it the first time in theaters was when Marla calls. And and she's like, she's taking the Xanax, whatever. And he was like, whatever. And he puts the phone down and he leaves.
Well, not only that, was like, how'd you track me down here?
Yeah, she said there was a forwarding number. But this is after his phone, that you left a forwarding number, I guess, at the old whatever,
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that when that happens, and then he just puts the phone receiver on top of the phone and leaves.
Yeah.
And then Tyler, who you can see in the background, comes walking up a little bit later and gets on the phone and starts talking, blah, blah, blah.
No, he never even talks to her.
He does. He picks up the phone, he listens, he says something, and she's talking. I guess that's what it is. And then he goes over to her place.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I remember at the time being, this is kind of curious because first off, he knew where to go.
Yeah.
And secondly, when she opens the door, she just says, "What took you so long?"
Yeah.
She doesn't act like, "Who are you? What's type." So there was a few things that was like, okay, well, she's Xanaxed, so it's we'll figure out what's going, blah blah blah. I guarantee you, again, I haven't read the book. Okay, I've read bits and pieces of it, but I've never read the entire book. That's how I knew that the ending was different, and somebody had told me that anyway. I don't know how much they get into, like Tyler does in the movie, of, hey, did you know you can create a bomb, dynamite with this and that, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, if that wasn't in the book, the guy that wrote the screenplay had at some point come into contact with and read parts of the Anarchist Cookbook.
Which you can't hardly find anymore.
It's still one of those things that it's in print, but you can't just walk in and buy it.
And if you do, you're probably going to end up on a
list.
On a
yeah,
watch list.
Because it's one of those things that I know this because I know someone who used to have a copy of it, but he required it through a different means. And I've also there is a documentary called The Anarchist Cookbook where they go and they find the guy who wrote it, who has since he's passed since this documentary was made. I think it came out in either 2017 or 2018 or something like that. But in that documentary, he had even said, "I really regret writing this book, and getting it out there because it has been used for some terrorist activities, around, and but it's one of those things that, according to that, it's one of those things where it's still legal to purchase, but if you commit a crime and they find it, it automatically bumps the charges up.
Yeah. Because
of, so it's one of those weird, like, sure, you can have it, but there's going to be some serious consequences if you get busted for something.
Yeah.
So, but now, granted, they didn't tell you the exact things to do. They pretty much lay it out in this movie, how to make dynamite, how to make nitroglycerin, how to, all different stuff like that.
The thing about it is with the advent of the internet,
it's all out there.
It's all out there, and now we've got 3D printing.
Yes.
And affordable 3D printing.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, terrorism has taken some leap.
Just
the industry around
Project Gen X podcast does not endorse anything that we're talking about here.
We don't endorse any of this. If you're doing this, you're wrong, and stop it.
We're just saying that it's there.
Well, I was listening to Rogan. I forget who he was talking about, but he was talking about the industry around terrorism.
It's huge. It's been huge for years.
And, they've got their own version of GitHub at this point, which is ridiculous.
Get into a lot of the dark web stuff, it's and you don't even have to go to the dark web to find a lot of it.
No.
That's how ISIS recruits, it's just one of those things is that they get people in like, hey, did you know that you can do this? It's kind of the same stuff that Tyler does.
Yeah.
No,
it's exactly the same.
I know, where it's, what's funny about it, and I said this years and years ago, not in conjunction with this, but in watching this movie again, it kind of dovetails in with the rest of this.
Uh-huh.
When I was working my corporate job, I worked for Saturn. I'll say it because they're not in business any longer. I remember telling somebody at the time, I was like, all this corporate culture that they're pushing, it's in the car industry.
Yeah,
it's not a whole lot unlike trying to recruit people to come to church. And it's very much the same.
Anybody into anything.
I know. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, that corporate culture, the trying to the conversion to religion, and the indoctrination into cults all kind of dovetail into the same thing. So
building a corporate lifestyle, and Harley's one of the best out there at building that corporate lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. You don't just ride a motorcycle.
No, you
ride a Harley.
Right. And you wear Harley leathers, and you get the Harley boots, and
you only put on the Harley accessories.
Exactly.
Unless you really step it up and go over to S&S.
Or whatever. It's not just Harley, it's Triumph, it's whatever. Yeah. Motorcycles in general have their own culture. It's one of those, Harley is kind of the American standard when it comes to that stuff. But it very much so. When you get into corporate
Harley's
culture,
one, Apple's one, Coke and Pepsi.
Are you Ford and Chevy?
Yeah.
Whatever. You can go down the line of a whole bunch of that stuff. Amazon is one.
Screw
Amazon. I know you don't like it, but I'm just saying it. But it is a Walmart. That is the whole, like, if you work for Walmart, they have this whole thing where they have a meeting. You can go and see it online.
Yeah. Before they really get the doors open.
They open the door, they all get together, and
they have a pep rally.
And they have a pep rally, and they chant, and it's like, all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of, that stuff developed over in Japan,
right,
with their corporations. And as Japan has become more of an industry player in the U.S., they've brought that lifestyle with them.
I was working for a catering company a while back, And we would always have these, like right before we would really get started, we'd all come together, and whoever was the lead would tell us kind of what's going on, this and that, and that kind of stuff. And I remember the first time I was standing there, and I'm like, are we being indoctrinated into a cult? Just like,
I'm sure they loved that.
And it was funny because like a couple of the people that were working there started laughing because they knew I was just like, this is a little too much. Okay, but I get it. You want to get everybody on the same page, and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I know we've kind of gotten off topic here, but it all goes back.
Your goatskin chaps. Go stand over there and wait for your.
So I mean, it's just this movie is so good. It hits so many. We really barely scratched the surface on this. So you can get into. Yeah. There is a theory out there that was floated, and I've got it on the in the playlist a little while back, that Marla Singer may not actually exist either.
No, she exists.
Well, does she?
You're going to go back and go back to the bus scene.
The bus scene?
But the problem is that you never see the bus fully go by.
But there's that. There's also
it's
the fact...
literally a hard cut.
There is... I know there is... Project Mayhem kidnaps her, and brings her in at the end.
Yeah.
But... none of them really interact with her whatsoever.
Well, it's a cult of men.
Matter of fact, no one interacts with her throughout this entire movie except for the narrator and Tyler.
Well, yeah. I'm just not going to buy into it. I'm just not going to do it.
I'm just saying there is an argument to be made that
maybe
but there's always somebody has a theory always about stuff.
Yeah, there's always a theory.
Yeah. So then, and I'm sure there's plenty of other ones out there. The whole, hey, we kind of touched on Bob's death. That was one of those things where when that whole thing happens, and and it's like hey, and he says, the narrator says, no, his name's Bob, and the one guy says, sir, in Project Mayhem, no one has a name.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, this guy had a name. His name was Robert Paulson. And then the same guy, he's like, no, I understand. In death, we all have a name. His name was Robert Paulson. Yeah. And then they start chanting his name is Robert Paulson, and it's kind of one of those like, oh, wow, this is where people really go crazy.
Well, no, I mean, the guy makes a point. Because how many people walk around feeling alone and not feeling like anybody knows who they are? But the second there's a funeral...
all of a sudden, I know.
All of a sudden, everybody knows your name. Exactly. Everybody's
the greatest
showing
person
up.
in the world.
Yeah.
That's why I have rules against that at my funeral. No one gets to say he was the nicest guy. You don't get to say that.
Well, see, just because you said that, I'm going to be the one that does it.
Everybody that knows me knows better. So
just because you said that, I'm going to be the one that does it.
I'll tell you another one from early in the movie. Another line that I love is when he's confronting Marla, and she asks, "So why are you coming to these meetings?" And he says, "Because when people think you're dying, they actually listen to you rather than waiting for their turn to talk."
Yeah.
And it's like, that's pretty, that's.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of that going on today. There's a lot of people talking and nobody's listening.
I agree. And it is. We live in a society that's just waiting for their turn to talk. That's all it is. It's
because when the other person's talking,
and I've been guilty of it.
You're already thinking up your response to what they're saying, but you're not listening to what they're saying, so your answer doesn't match what they've just.
You have your talking points that you're trying to get to, which is why we don't talk about politics on here, because that's all it is. That's all politics in America is today is talking points. It's not any solutions. It's just talking points.
Well, everybody's working so hard for their soundbite,
right?
Their little 15-second soundbite.
This is where I'm going to destroy this person. It's like, no, you're not. You're not going to own me. I'm sorry.
Which is why I look at friends. I go, you really need to learn the art of silence.
Exactly.
There's a power in not saying something.
When I learned a long time ago, when I was in my mid-ish 20s, that when you were in a room full of people who were talking, if you were completely silent and sitting by yourself, you become the most interesting person in the room.
Well, not only that, if you're talking to somebody that you haven't talked to before, and I've used this in interviews, where somebody will look at me and ask me a question, and I'll just sit there and look at them for a few minutes. It's amazing how uncomfortable they
people
get.
Hate silence. People,
really quick.
It's a Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
Don't you love that comfortable silence where you just shut up?
Don't you hate that? What, uncomfortable silences?
No, she says comfortable silence, because later it's the uncomfortable silence when they get back to the house, And he said something about, that was an uncomfortable silence. She's like, I don't know what that was, that I need a drink, you know?
I'm going to have to watch that movie now.
Yeah, that's what the whole thing, because they both sit there and they don't say anything, and they're just kind of like, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, don't you love that? And the comfortable silence where you can both just shut up and nobody has to say anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
I found another one I'm going to have to watch again.
I haven't seen that one in a while, so I've seen that movie so many times, I could probably sit here and quote it to you.
Yeah.
But we won't do that because of cancel culture. Because there's some stuff in there. So anyway, guys, you can get in touch with us. Tell us what you think about Fight Club. Like it, hate it,
guys, we
love
keep
it,
asking
whatever.
for interaction with
Yeah.
you. We actually do want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. Give us ideas.
And I'm hoping...
Give us some feedback.
I'm sure we've got some new listeners because we just posted on a whole bunch of new platforms recently. And I mean a bunch of new platforms recently. And Biscuit's all excited about it because he won't shut up, obviously. But it's basically anything you want to listen to us on now, you can. I think the only one we're
Except
not on is Spotify, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So
I'll say it. Their terms of service.
the terms of service suck, is what it comes down to.
They're almost Amazonian.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. So, but it's one of those things. You can listen to us anywhere. You can get in touch with us at our email is projectgenxpod. projectgenxpod@gmail.com.
You're going to have to do this because you changed everything on me.
Well, it's just projectgenxpod@gmail.com.
Yeah. The Facebook is still the
same.
same.
The Facebook is still the same. If you just go look Project Gen X Pod, or Project Gen X Podcast is actually what it is. But if you were already following us, it's already there. Same thing. Well, we have an Instagram now.
Woo!
That is Project Gen X Pod is what, and there's a couple of pictures up there. There will be more. Let's see what else. Oh, here's one for you. And this is probably going to get us pigeonholed for some stuff, but we're on Parler, as well as Twitter. And
you joined us on Parler?
We are on Parler now. I figure, hey, that's something new and upcoming, so you may as well jump on it. So,
do you know how many social media accounts I have at this point?
Yeah, I know. Well, believe me, I was going to sign us up for Tumblr and a couple other things. And I was like, you know what? I'm not, because I think Tumblr's pretty much dead now.
That's the next MySpace.
Yeah. But
that's basically for the bronies and
pretty much anywhere,
fan fiction folks.
Pretty much anywhere you want to find us on, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Parler or whatever, it is at Project Gen X Pod.
Yeah,
that's where you can find us.
And you're going to start seeing some changes on some of the looks of stuff as we go through and
we're working on new logos and all that kind of stuff. We are still, all right, if you are not subscribed on Apple, or if it hasn't, let's put it this way. I know there's been a couple of problems with it updating on Apple Podcast.
Yeah.
I went and refreshed our RSS feed. One of the things that if you go there, it's going to look like we stopped releasing episodes in February, but that's not true.
No,
all of the new ones are still getting there. It's just you have to scroll down to find it on the app. I can't figure out why it put those first 27 episodes under season 1, because I never put anything in there for seasons because we don't have them.
Yeah.
So, but they are there, and it should be updating now. Should be. And
what's funny is if you go, it says unknown season.
Yeah, it says unknown, and then the rest of the other 13, or actually it's almost 20 episodes now, or something like that.
It's random because like episodes 1 through 8 are on the unknown season, and it jumps to episode 28.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's doing that. So
we've got some problems with our
it's
iPod.
Apple. I don't know what's going on, but everything else works fine. I use Overcast. I'm
on Stitcher.
You're on Stitcher.
I either use Stitcher or Tuned In.
But you can. I know we're on Tuned In. On Stitcher, you can pull the RSS feed over.
Oh no, I looked this up on Stitcher and it pulled right up.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And it did that back before we were doing the generation.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, I guess that we're on there now. So, we've been on there. I didn't realize
we've been on there forever.
Okay,
because that's what I usually use.
Oh, that's
Stitcher.
right. That's okay. Yeah. So Stitcher, I know we're on several other things. So we're on a bunch of other stuff. I just uploaded us to a ton of things.
You can find us.
So, but yeah, tell your friends. subscribe, like us. Please
If you-
give us reviews
give us
on
reviews.
wherever it is. It
That's
doesn't matter.
really gonna
It
help
doesn't
us.
matter what platform you're on. Give us reviews because that's going to help us become seen.
Yeah.
And it will help us grow our community. We've got we're working on some stuff right now.
And we want y'all to be a community. We
Exactly.
want you guys to interact.
I'm actually getting ready to start a group. Not just a page, but a group,
Okay.
so we can actually get a community going. People we can
Actually,
talk
the
to each
group's
other.
already created. I did that when we first started. I just haven't made it public.
Yeah, I started a new one because I couldn't. What's the word? I couldn't edit to the Gen X pod,
Oh, I guess
so
I'll
I
delete
just
mine.
started a new one, and I created a new one. I haven't done anything with
As
it
you can
since
tell,
then.
we don't really talk to each other either.
I do most of my work when Dave's sleeping. So because, again, I don't sleep a whole lot, especially these days. And so it's one of those things that I'm at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I should go look at this. And the next thing I know, it's several hours later. And I've I have submitted us to 20 new places. And I've gone and started looking at a website. And I've started doing this and started doing that.
We've started doing this together, but now it's mostly Alan. I'm going to be honest. I'm here for him to bounce ideas off.
Well,
of.
I'm kind of the Tyler Durden of this group. I'm working while you're sleeping. And it's like,
Oh, good Lord, that makes me the narrator. We are so screwed.
anyway, so guys, thank you so much. We will be back with some more. We've got another cool movie we're going to be doing here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Probably in our next episode. So stay tuned. We will put some new stuff up on Instagram, and I'm going to start doing some where we'll do some hints at what the next episode is going to be through our Instagram. So go and follow us over at Instagram and interact and have fun and get to know each other when we open the group, and that way we can start building a community. And we're all in this together. Remember, we're Gen X. Yeah. Anyway.
Whatever.
Whatever. See you guys.